Uma Musume Pretty Derby, a game about horse girls whose fate is to do whatever it takes to run towards their goals. And it's your job, the trainer, to make them achieve that goal. There is one issue. The game is not exactly beginner friendly. Now your first actual run will look something like this, choosing auto select on both legacies and support cards, and you jump in. Then proceed to train your Uma on the stats depending on how many friends you have. You win some races, you lose some races, and ultimately trying to understand what is wrong with your Uma for not being able to hit their goal, and ultimately failing. Now that definitely felt like shit and unsatisfactory. I undergo this process, and as someone who already has an unhealthy amount of time when I first try out the game, allow me to assist, or more to warn you about why things are not going your way. I'll explain the different ways this game will fuck you over, whether it's your Uma failing training or you just have terrible luck. But before we start, I'm going to do a shameless part to ask you to subscribe. I've never done this. I'm planning to hit on 2,000 subscribers if it's possible. So if you have friends that are clawing their brains out from this game, or you know your friends who will like the content in my channel, which is a whole lot of things, please share this channel with them so I can reach my goal to 2,000 subs. I really appreciate if you guys help my channel to grow, as I really like editing videos. Now back to it. Let's start with what you have. Legacies. And since you just started the game, you have no good legacies, no good stats for your Uma, and no good sparks for your Umas to receive. To fix this, go to race, team races, and click this icon here after you finish the race, and follow the good trainers that has good legacies and good support cards. You'll need it. But of course, there will be too many people following the same person, leaving you the only option is to pick the other one. Now, with some proper legacies that you can use for your Umas, it's time for your support cards. You don't have any good ones, and you can only borrow one support card from others. I mean, that's fine, at least the game gave you some support cards you can use, except they're not that good. So you decided to gacha some cards, and there's the issue. Gacha. It's gambling. If you're lucky, that's great. If you're not, you wasted your carrots for nothing. Now, once that's out of the way, training time starts, which is also the start of your soon-to-be torment that will happen for your next few careers. For starters, let's talk about the Umas you decided to train. If you pick any of these Umas, you're good. You might have a good run. In fact, maybe a very good run. If you pick any of these Umas, good fucking luck, cause you'll fucking need it, and each of them are going to make your life a pain in the ass for the next few hours. Let me break it down for you all. Each Uma has their own difficulties in terms of their careers. And of course, that also reflects on how the horses in real life have to race, which also means you will have to deal with their problems and training routes. Allow me to give you an example. This is Goldship. You know her, you love her, I love her, we like her autistic antics, and during training, there's a few things to keep in mind. There is this one career event where she brightens her mood to great, then restricts 4 of your training options.
What? 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 What do you mean?
And this applies to some of the Umas. Some having mood swings, some have difficult goals to clear, and if you don't have the right stats or not good enough skills, not gonna lie, you're screwed. The next problem you'll be facing are the events that will happen if you decide to train your Uma if its failure rate is around 10% or higher. Cause believe it or not, even your training is a gamble. And once you failed it, the after effects are bad, like really bad. Now you have 2 options. The green one drops your trainee's mood down depending on your energy count, or worse, reduces your stats. And if you pick the second option, there are 2 outcomes. Your trainee has a chance to bring her mood back up with pure motivation, which never happens, or straight up goes to awful and reduces even more stats and gets inflicted with practice poor, which is a negative condition that increases failure rate during training. And depending on how terrible Lady Luck decides to treat you, These are the negative conditions you might get during your run, and all of them are equally just as bad or worse depending on your current state of training, and all of them is a gamble to get, which is what you want to avoid. You might get migraine, which stops you from increasing mood, dry skin, which randomly decreases mood, night owl, which lowers energy by 10% randomly, and it can be received by one of the most common ways to regain energy, slow metabolism, which stops you from getting speed, which is the most important stat, and slacker, the worst one. Your Uma is nowhere to be seen during training. Now finally, the racing part. This really comes down on how your Uma is in terms of stats and skills, and how much the game likes or hates you. One of the first ways the game can screw you over is if your bracket number is around 1 to 3. If that's the case, your Uma is most likely to get trapped, stopping them to surge forward. And if that wasn't bad enough, there will be a random chance where your Uma will get a late start, which causes your Uma to fall behind and not be able to get to their positions in time, which is bad. Another thing that could happen is when your Uma gets rushed, where they start to lose their endurance, causing them to be unable to stay in their position. Overall, the entire race, even if your stats and skills are on par, it's still a gamble. Now, here are some honorable mentions that can screw up your run. Your training getting sad for some reason, your infirmary is unable to cure said problem your trainee received, getting tissue as the lottery prize, and finally, the bloody acupuncturist. The safest option when this event happens is to refuse the option, which is what I do most of the time. But if you decide to pick any of the other 4, begin your prayers. If it works, your trainee gets a massive increase in stats depending on what you choose. If you fail though, you will hate this lady for the rest of your life. You will wish to burn this girl to ashes underneath the darkest pits of hell so it can swallow her whole. Now, the final reason on why your trainee can't fully accomplish their goal, it's because you don't fully understand the game and don't know what to train. But it's fine. With a lot of trial and error, you and your many trainees will soon hit that goal and win the URA finale in no time. Just trust the process. Seriously, it took me like 30 failed careers just for me to even win with Gold Chip. And that's all the bullshit you can encounter in Umamusume Pretty Derby. There is a reason on why this game has a much higher age rating than Nikkei, cause the entire system is gambling, like full of RNG. Anyway, subscribe if you like the video. If you like the video like this, I'll try to make more.